Hello everyone, welcome to my channel once again, and this is the sidelines. As we continue with AWS Daily, I get requests from some of my subscribers that they don't understand Linux, or maybe they need some fresher course on Docker, or maybe they need to understand some things in Terraform. And lately, I've been getting a lot of requests about Linux because I use a lot of Linux commands when I am running the tutorials for AWS Daily. So this is the first sideline in this series. Yes, Linux is very, very important. As you know, Linux is one of the most popular OSs in the world. We have three major OSs. We have Windows, we have Linux, and then we have Mac OS in no particular order. Those are the popular OSs we know. Now, Linux basically runs on a Unix system, on a Unix kernel. And what that means is that it has the same kind of like similar kernel system with Mac OS, all right, Unix. Linux is a distributed software. It is open source, people contribute to it, and you have different versions and different distros, which are called distributions of Linux. So these are some distributions. Well, this is a lot of Linux. People use them depending on their workload or work architecture. Ubuntu is one of those very, very popular ones. We have Arc, we have the CentOS, there's Garuda, there's Fedora, Arch Linux, Parrot, Mint, Manjaro, a lot of this. Moving on, so Linux is very important in the software development space, especially if you want to start doing DevOps or cloud engineering or anything that has to do with the cloud. Linux is very, very important. It's something that you should know. So I'll be taking you on these commands. If you are running a Windows system like I am, you need to have some form of shell or a Linux environment that you can practice with. There are different ways to get this environment. So one of the ways we are using Windows is to get WSL. You can get WSL Windows. So if you have WSL, you can then install it and then restart your computer, and then you have kind of like that space where you can play around with Linux, Windows subsystem for Linux. All right, so I'll put this link in the description for you to get WSL. I have that installed already. So another thing you can use is Git Bash. You can come to this website, git-scm.com. Download Git Bash for Windows and install it. When you install it, if you start up Git Bash, once you've installed Git Bash, you have something like this window where you can do what you want to do. That's another way to get a Linux environment on Windows. So another way is also to use AWS, because I'm an AWS person. So remember, in I think the last two previous videos, we created a Linux instance on Amazon Lightsail. So we can use that Linux instance, get the cloud shell from there, and use that to practicalize what we want to do. I'll basically prefer to use this because I love using AWS. All my workloads somewhere in the cloud, I can access them from anywhere. So if you've created that, I'll put the description on how to create a Linux instance on Amazon Lightsail somewhere. I'll put the link somewhere so you can access it. So after that, you click on this, it's going to take you to Cloud Shell, connecting to your instance. And yeah, we have Linux. This is Linux running here. All right. So if we say uname, let's do this, uname -a, it gives you information. So these Linux commands, I'm going to explain them in a bit, but this is just how to get your environment set up for Linux. Okay. VS Code installed, you can install bash 2 and then use the VS Code terminal. Let's see, that's another way to get Linux running. Give it a sec. So I have git bash installed, and if I'm using VS Code, I can basically just click on the command line and it would give me that terminal. So if I do ls here, you see it also works. If I do uname -a, it works. So these are options, these are ways on how to get your Windows environment set up for Linux.